Welcome to the Northern Strength Fitness Podcast. This episode is about the Northerner Race, which is a brand new race in Saskatchewan. It's a Canadian themed obstacle course race, and I hope that after you're done listening to our guest, you're going to be excited to try the race out. Now, I started the race with a goal in mind to get people active, get communities involved in different ways to socialize, families, friends gathering, challenging themselves, making memories, and making that accessible to more of a rural setting or even just to places within Saskatchewan to start off, because there's not a lot of these opportunities that you can get to close by home. So the people that have participated have had a great time. I've heard some awesome success stories, and you're about to hear from the guests and their success. And I hope that you guys are excited to join us annually at the Northerner Race. If you guys are interested, check out the northernerrace.ca. There's even free run programs with registrations. If you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a shout. And also, don't forget to subscribe. It helps grow the channel. Sharing this content is also amazing. I'm sure the people that are going to be our guests are going to love the fact that you guys are commenting, liking, sharing the post. So without further ado, let's get to the episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Northern Strength Fitness Podcast. My name is Brandon, and we've got another Northerner Race guest, but this is a unique one, my very first phone call guest. So Desiree is calling all the way from Saskatoon, right?
Yep, that's correct.
There you go. So she was at the race, what is it, about a week and a half ago now, I think?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Has it been that long? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Around there.
I think so. So yeah, I was like, well, if you want to come on the podcast, and you're like, well, I remember I messaged you on like Instagram, I think it was, because you were tagging in all these sweet photos and stuff. And I was like, well, maybe she'd be up for it. She seems kind of like someone who'd do it. And then you're like, well, I don't know. And I was like, what about a phone call? I was like, what about a phone call? Let's try this. So here we are, and we had a little chat laughing about podcasts prior to recording this. So I'm excited to kind of get your feel on my race, but also to get to know you a little bit. So for those that don't know who you are, because I'm sure you're going to have some friends and family listening to this, but do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name's Desiree. I found out about the run through a friend's husband. He had messaged me asking because we had done a run together in May,
Mm-hmm.
and we had spoken about how I wanted to do something a little bit more challenging. So he sent me the link for this. And I took one look at the video from last year, and I said, "Yep." I didn't even think twice. I said, "Yeah, let's do it. This is my kind of jam." And I
That's awesome.
was looking forward to diving into the mud and getting all my bruises have finally all healed now.
Oh,
They're all
well,
gone.
hopefully nothing too
But it was
serious.
no, it was nothing too serious. It was well worth it. I knew I was going to have a few war wounds, but I was very happy to have it
That's
done.
cool.
So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
one thing that I didn't really get to find out, like how people found out about it. But if you saw the video and someone telling you about it, it's kind of cool feedback for me. And even the videographer that we had there, like he worked his butt off this year and last year for it. So it's good to see that the video was well worth it to get people like you to come try it out. So, and you said you're from
Oh,
Saskatoon, so
definitely.
you guys drove up as a little bit of a crew, or what was the plan there?
Um, my family and my friend's family, we all came up together, like in two separate cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually never been to Tisdale before. That was my first time. So I even went to go visit, I think it's like the world's largest bee while
Oh
I was
yeah,
there because
the
I like
Tisdale
going to
Bee.
towns and seeing the world's largest.
Yeah,
So
whatever they
had to go
have.
check that out.
That's such a
Yeah, and
like
I'd
small
actually never
town
been
thing,
through
hey?
Melfort before. That was
There
my
you
first
go.
time too.
Yeah, a lot of first times. You did well. You've done races before. What was the race that you did back
Yeah.
in May?
That was the Saskatchewan Marathon. I had done the 10K
Nice.
one. So yeah,
Uh,
that was I don't even know how many 10Ks I've done. I've done very many 5Ks,
mm-hmm.
10Ks, and I've done four halves.
Yeah.
My goal is to run a full one day.
Ooh,
But
there you go.
Saskatchewan, it can kind of get a little boring running on, a flat surface. So this was definitely something that
Yeah,
I
spiced it
wanted
up.
to try. And it was not 5K.
Yeah.
It was over.
Hey, yeah, I
That was a
know.
fun surprised.
Yeah, I know. I got caught a few people off with that. So it's funny because like yeah, I'm just like last year when we did it, I measured out the loop and I think I mentioned this to people on when I was announcing the race. Like, yeah, I measured it out. It was like a little over 5, but then when I actually like zigzagged to where the obstacles were, I was like, oh crap. Okay. No, it is 7 kilometers. Oops. Oh well,
Yeah.
surprise everybody. So there you go.
No, it was good because like going through all those obstacles, you didn't even really tell. So,
Yeah, and once you're in it and it's like yeah, because we do a 3 lap system, which I forgot
mhm.
did you mind the 3 lap system? Was it kind of like neat? Like it's some of those obstacle course races. I know it's one big lap, but I within like the I hope people like the 3 laps, but didn't hate it.
I liked it because it kind of gave you a chance to, like, if you weren't able to complete something the first time, it gave you two more chances to be like, okay, you know what? I was able to complete everything at least once. You kind of got
Yeah,
the hang of it. Like I have no balance, so the balancing beams were tough. But the third time I did it,
yeah. There
and you
you
could
go.
kind of, yeah, and you kind of knew what to expect. Like some people would maybe like the element of surprise, but I like knowing what I was going for and to just kind of, I'm very, very competitive, especially with myself.
Yeah.
So just knowing that, like, okay, like the one where you had to climb over, like the big wall, I kind of like to time myself and okay, the first time I did it in this
Oh
many
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
seconds. So yeah, it was kind of just to see nice to see um, how better you could do it the next time
Yeah, that's kind of what I
or
was
like
thinking
the third
too.
time.
Because I've done
Yeah,
some of
no,
these
it was good.
races, and it's like I was like I came up to an obstacle in some races I've done in the past. Like, ooh, I either didn't get it or else I really liked it, but then you were just done with it. So I was like,
Yeah.
ah, that sucks. Now I gotta like, I mean, it's there were still other obstacles, but like, oh, I wish I could have done that one again, right? Or I wish I got another. So in the 3 lap, I was like, you know what? I bet you people kind of like this. Some people though didn't like certain ones to redo. For instance, I don't know how many people really enjoyed the log carry. I don't know about you, but I
Oh, I
heard.
didn't care about the log
Oh,
carrying. I
okay.
What surprised me though was I saw people going around the mud pit, and I was like,
Yeah,
people were like,
you.
we're here to get muddy. As soon as I saw that mud pit, I dove right in.
Yeah, which I think if the video will have that picture of you in the mud there to it. So yeah, no, I was surprised because I saw in the video too people taking the penalty for the mud pit. I was like, you guys signed up for an obstacle course race, like go through the mud, like come on. So
Exactly.
if you guys are listening to this, and you didn't go through the mud. Next year, you better all dive into the
Go
mud.
through the mud. It's worth it. It's fun.
Yes.
It's fun. It's the fun part. Like, yes, your shoes feel like they're 5 pounds heavier, and
Yeah.
when you have to, but it's worth it. It's so much fun to be at the end and have that muddy picture.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think a lot of people, I mean, I tried my best to like have on the website, like make sure you have a pair of shoes because it's going to be muddy. And I tried to send an email, but who knows? Maybe somebody didn't realize, oh, these are going to get muddy and they might think mud will wreck them. I don't know. But you
My
conquered it.
shoes are
Yeah.
still sitting outside. I
Yeah.
haven't washed them yet.
Okay. It's funny that you say that. So this is just a little side story on me and my shoes. So I ran an obstacle course race called the Spartan race. Have you heard of those?
Yes, that's what I wanted to do last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wasn't able to.
Yeah, well, see, we brought our own version of the Spartan up here, so now you
It's
don't have to worry
perfect.
about it.
Yeah,
You don't have to travel as
exactly.
far. But anyway, I ran the Spartan, and it was on a dirt bike course. If you can imagine the up and down the muddy hills.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was just mud the whole, and it rained all night and all day, so it was like just crazy, like mud sliding. But the shoes that I had, I put them in a plastic bag, and I had brought them home. And then the next year, I was like, oh, I should do that again. I wonder where those shoes are. They were still in the plastic bag, and still just caked with mud. So I just knocked them off and put them on for the next year, and they just became my muddy little run shoes for obstacle course races. So maybe that can
Yeah, I
be.
think these ones are going to be kept for that too.
There you go.
There's no
See,
point in, yeah, they're
perfect.
they're already muddy. I'm not going to clean them. I think I'm too lazy for that. So they're just going to be the obstacle course shoes that I pull out until I wear them completely out, and then it's time to recycle my older pair for the new ones. But
Yeah. So how was the? I'm just curious how the road trip and all the experience of the full, because you guys would have drove up that day and left that same day. So how was that for you?
good. Yeah, no, it was a nice morning. It was a nice drive. Yeah, we stopped and got our Timmies, and because I can't do any road trips without my Timmies, otherwise I'm just cranky.
Yeah.
And no, and then we went through went through Melford's and then just went right to the course. It was a nice drive. It's 2 hours. We did the second race because we thought the early one that would have been a little bit too early to
Mm-hmm.
leave.
Yeah.
And then I'm glad we did because by the time we were done and the third race was about to start, it was hot.
Yeah, definitely
Like we
spiced it
had
up.
Yeah, like it was a good cool temperature when the sun was coming out, because I think it had rained maybe that morning a little bit. But it was really nice to have the sun coming out a little bit, but it was still not overly hot.
Yeah, it was like literally
Yeah,
perfect weather for you guys. Like you guys, as far as like a obstacle course race goes, it's kind of like that's what you want. It not too
yeah,
hot, not too cold, right? So you guys got
exactly.
the best of it. So,
Especially when you're doing a little bit more than just running, like you're doing a little bit more, like the log carry.
yeah,
You're
exactly.
gonna be working a little bit harder than a run.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like there's like certain things that I had planned, and I want to continue to grow the race. So I'm really excited that you're actually on the podcast because then maybe it'll reach more people, right, and get them excited about it. But like different like water obstacles. So this year I was debating putting in a slip and slide just as like a hey, it would be fun if you had to go through the slip and slide thing as like if especially if it was really
Oh,
hot.
that would be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would
So
have been fun. It
um
would have been a little muddy and
yeah, I know. I
gross
was like,
by
I don't know
the
how this is
end,
gonna
but
work. I don't know how this is gonna work. I was like, and I had bought in some stuff for it. Like I had bought a bunch of soap and some tarps, and I was like thinking in my head, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should wait on this and actually think it through before just like it was like 5 days before the race. Like, let's do a slip and slide this year. So who knows what'll happen next year? But yeah, no. Speaking of obstacles, so what one was your favorite then?
um, you know, I don't know if it really was my favorite, but it felt the best to be able to do. I have an insane fear of heights.
Mm-hmm.
So when I looked at the wall, I was immediately scared, but I just climbed it. I tackled. I was very proud of myself for facing that fear,
Mm-hmm.
and just being able to do it by myself. And then there was another one. There was the one wall that you had to, um, there was a step
Yeah.
on the one wall
Yeah,
that
that was a
you
high
had
wall.
to yeah, and there was no one there to help me over twice. Like the first time somebody was able to boost me up, but the second time I got there, no one was around me. So I was like, well, I either do have to do um 30 jumping jacks
Yeah.
or what 10. I chose the jumping jacks every time, so I don't even know how many burpees we had to do,
Yeah.
but burpees are not something I like to do. So I was like, well, I'm not doing 30 jumping jacks because I had already fallen off the balance beam
Yeah, yeah,
the
I
one
just
time,
did
so I'd already
30.
done them. So I was like, no, I am going to launch myself over this. I do not care. And that was probably, and then of course the mud.
Yeah, you were
Yeah,
all
the
for
mud
the
was
mud.
fun. That
That's
was all for the mud.
well, I kind of like this is what I was hoping to sort of accomplish with the race. There's a lot of stuff I want to accomplish with the race and what I do, but just that like mental toughness and your ability to like talk yourself into challenges and then to whether you're going to be successful in the attempt or not, but just even to attempt it, right? And then conquer those attempts or like I said if you fail the first time. But that just helps with mental health and like a huge aspect, at least that I've found in my life and within the people that I talk to. But I don't know if you're the same way or not, but maybe.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, like in school, I was not athletic. Like to run a lap in the gym was even hard for me because growing up, I had very bad asthma. And I still do, but it's a lot better. But I was just not
Yeah.
an athletic person. Like I had panic attacks, like and always pick the last for a team.
Mm-hmm.
Just panic attacks when I ever had to do anything with sports, and I just hated it. And so being able to go on a run like in a race like this when I'm 42 years old and being able to say like, wow, like I can do this stuff.
Yeah.
Even like at my age, nothing has held me back. Even, like last year I hurt my knee really bad when I was doing a run. But like just overcoming all that, working with my personal trainer,
Mm-hmm.
just all of these things that I've overcome to be able to do that run and a lot of the obstacles on my own.
Yeah.
is was such an amazing feeling and totally helped, with mental health. I am a huge mental health advocate.
Hmm.
That's actually why I started working out in the first place because it helps with my anxiety.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is definitely something that I would highly suggest people to do, like just anywhere in Saskatchewan. It's a nice drive, Tisdale is a nice city. You got Melfort real close if you're traveling from far away.
Yeah. It gives a
Like
nice
it
little
was a
outing. Hey.
yeah,
So
yeah, and, like, there's so many other runs that you have to go, like, to Alberta for, but,
I know.
when this is just in, like, it's right in our backyard, it's perfect.
It's a quick little road trip. When I grew up in a small town like north of Prince Albert, and we had our small community events, right? But there wasn't anything that I can remember other than like the few events that I got to when I was older, like this in the province, right? So I know there was like your typical runs, but I just same with you. It was a neat experience for me to reflect upon when I first did it, and it made me hungry to want to like get better and do more. Which then just at least for me, when I get those little battles that I win with physical activity, then I can apply it to like other parts in life. So when if I gotta like I used to be a school teacher, for example, so it's like, oh, I gotta get these report cards done, and I know it's gonna take me till midnight, but I know I could do these hard things because I've accomplished hard things physically and mentally
Mhm.
through these like races or through exercise, right? So that's the part where I really liked, and how you said that you were challenging yourself to jump over that wall, even though it was like intimidating or maybe harder than you. But just to build that confidence and that resilience.
Exactly. Like, the one thing that, somebody said to me at a run that has always stuck with me is, "Your body is capable of anything. It's your mind that you have to convince."
Mm-hmm.
Like, as soon as you know that you can do something, it is amazing what you can do. But it's your mind that holds you back. It's fear of failing,
Yeah.
but, as long as you keep pushing yourself, you will succeed.
Yeah.
You may not succeed the first time, but, the 10th time, doesn't matter how many times it takes you to do it. It's if you just don't give up.
For sure. Well, and that whole mind and versus body, right? And actually, you're talking about marathon, so I don't know if you knew this about me, but I ran a marathon leading up to the race.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so the weekend before, like on August long weekend, the Monday, I actually ran a full marathon that day. And
Oh, wow.
I only did it in 2 months of training after like not running for 2 years because I tore my hamstring a couple of years ago. So for me, it was a good mental battle, physical battle, because I knew during my marathon, and I've never done it. Like the longest I've ever ran prior to doing my full marathon was I think 7 kilometers, like 15 years ago on
Wow.
a treadmill in university. Like I remember doing, so I've never done anything remote distance at all, and kept labeling myself as not a runner. But then when I was putting on this race, I had so many people saying, "Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it." Right? "Oh, I'm not a runner. I'm not a runner." I said, kind of like almost like a I'm going to show you kind of moment for me, right? I want to prove it to myself that I can run a full marathon without running for a couple of years. So yeah, on that, I took 2 months and I trained for a marathon, did a bunch of research, and listened to podcasts while I was running, and just yeah, I ran it that Monday, and I was super sore. Don't get me wrong. It took me a few days to recover,
Yeah.
and even on the day of the race, I was limping on at the Northerner race because I hadn't fully recovered yet. So, but it's just that.
That's incredible.
Well, thanks. So I mean, what you did too was incredible. All these races that you're doing, and to go from someone who wasn't super physically active or fit in high school to then transition to what you're doing now and being a role model. Like I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to listen to your story now and be like, you know what? So I think what you've done is also incredible. So,
Oh,
and
well,
even
thank you.
yeah, well, even just sharing like that whole, just get in your head and tell yourself you can, right? And if you, like you said, if you fail once or twice, just keep pushing, right? And eventually you'll get there. And if you don't, then reflect on it and find out why and continue to grow in other areas.
Exactly. Like that I still like, my goal is to eventually run a full marathon, like I that's even if I just do it once, because
Mm-hmm.
I've run my halves and, you know, going into my first half after I had done so many tens, it wasn't as hard for me to break that down. It was like, when I would finish a 10, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I could turn around and do that all over again.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was done my first half, I was just so exhausted and so sore. And
Yeah.
I think in my mind, I said, I'm like, wow, I would have to turn around and do that all over again. And that was such a big part in my brain that, like, that is not possible. But then I started thinking, well, no, because I would just run it differently.
Yeah,
Like, I
100%.
put everything into that 21K. you know, if I knew I was going into a full, it would be a different mindset.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a goal of mine. I would love to do it before, I always say before I turn 45, which is in 3 years. And I don't
Ooh.
think it's something that I am just thinking of. I always go to Regina for the QCM,
Yeah.
the Queen City Marathon. That's where I've done most of my runs. This year I won't be going. I'm going to do a virtual run.
Mhm.
I've just been taking the year off and recovering and
Yeah, said you had
strength
some
training at my
injuries, yeah.
gym. Yeah, just healing. But I'm hoping that just with time I can eventually get back there. And I even went for a run this Saturday just because I was so amped up from the run still that I just wanted to go out there and just run again. And it just felt great to be out there. Just
Awesome.
put on put on some tunes and just drown out the world and just run.
Yeah. No, and I think you
Yeah.
kinda hit a lot of points, like, so I filmed a podcast on, my marathon, like, going into the marathon, and then I did a reflection one, but I think a lot of people underestimate what they're capable of, and even the running strategy going into my full marathon was not to be fast, right? It was just to do it, and so it took me 6.5 hours, but I did it, and I didn't run the whole thing, I had to walk, but I was still really proud of myself when I did it, right? So just,
Well, exactly. That is 42.2 kilometers. Like there are some, and people would say you're crazy. I actually 2 years ago I
mhm.
completed the 100,000 step challenge. Like when I say I'm competitive, this is what I mean. It was I have a Fitbit, and you get these badges every time you get to like a milestone of
Yeah,
steps,
yeah,
right? So like 10,000, you're given another badge. So I started looking on the app. I said, okay, what is the highest amount of steps that you can get? And it said 100,000. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it.
there we go.
Well, I did it. It was actually I did it the day before my 40th birthday because I said I want to do this before I turn 40. So I was out there in the heat. I was exhausted. I started at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
I finished at 11:30 p.m.
there you go.
I was Yeah, but I did it. And so many people look at me and they look at how the recovery, and they're like, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I just wanted to see if I could do it."
Yeah, for sure.
And I did it.
There you go, and that's
Like,
like I'm getting goosebumps because it reflects so much of how I did this marathon too. It's kinda like woke up at 6:30 and, started running and, people are like, "Why are you doing this? Like, what's the start with a half marathon," and all these things. It's like, "No, I'm gonna do it." Like, and then just getting it done, being exhausted at the end, but then you prove to yourself that you could do these things, right? And then it's like, what else have I told myself that I can't do in life? And now that I know that I can do these things, where have I missed out on, and how can I change that for the future me, right?
exactly. Yeah. Like, even just when I'm working out at the gym, like, like a week goes by and I'm lifting more than I was a week ago. Like, it's amazing when you're really focused, what your body can do, as
Hmm.
long as you just keep believing yourself that you can.
Yeah. Well, and then I like to push my podcast to take like my premise here is to like get the physical stuff and then find out how you can apply the same lessons you learn for life. So it might be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I do want to start that side business, or I do want to start that podcast up. I do want to ask for the raise, or I want to ask this girl out or this guy out, or I want to have these tough conversations with family members or friends. And yeah, once you start realizing that you could do all these tough things, you just start knocking them off, and all of a sudden you're in control, right? You're the person that
Exactly.
you always wanted to be, but you just aren't limited by those limiting beliefs anymore.
Exactly. Like, I get being comfortable, like people love being comfortable and they don't really like change. And comfort zone is a wonderful place, but I still remember, and I've seen this quote so many times, nothing ever grows there. You're not going to grow unless you
Yeah.
try harder.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yes, comfort zone. I go back there all the time where I just want to, be in my bubble and not, because everything is okay. But then I also don't like not achieving goals I've set out for myself.
Yeah.
So I have to keep trying.
Wow.
And as ready as I felt going into this run, I was nervous. I didn't like, when we pulled up to the area and I saw the walls and everything. And I even remember saying to my friend when I was looking at the one wall that I just told the story about earlier about
Yeah.
being able to do it with no one around to help me. I looked at him and said, I will not be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just like, even before the run, I psyched myself out. But then I got up to it and I was like, why can't I?
Yeah.
And I did it.
There you go. Right. And that's just
Yeah. So
building that success. That's awesome. No, and I have if you ever get bored on your runs, you want to listen to my other podcast, but it's funny. You're saying all the stuff that I basically talk about. Like I have a whole podcast on challenge equals change. And my very first podcast I called Roots. And I kind of gave like the background of who I am, where I came from, my goals with the gym. But I called it Roots. And then my saying that I quote a lot on here, and it kind of goes with what you were talking about. Nothing grows. How'd you say that again? Sorry.
a comfort zone is a wonderful place, but nothing ever grows there.
Yeah. So my quote that I use is don't just go through life, but grow through life. So I
Oh,
kind of
I
like,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. So I say that a lot. So for people that are listening to this, and you got Desiree there in Saskatoon, and I'm here in Tisdale, and we have guests from different parts of the province that are coming on here. But it's like, don't just sit there and go. Like, look at life as a growing opportunity and grow through it, right? Find those opportunities and get out of the comfort zone every now and then, right?
Exactly. And you know what? You could inspire the next person. I never thought that I would ever, because there are so many people who have inspired me, and I'm approached by people who say that I have inspired them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy how you don't think you can inspire someone, but you may be doing it already just by doing certain things that you're doing. It doesn't always have to be told to you,
Yeah.
but just by your attitude or wherever the direction that you're going in life, just keep inspiring and you'll never know who you're going to reach.
100%. And it's like
Like,
kind of surrounding yourself with like the people that are going to inspire you to the person you want to be. And then again, almost passing it forward in a sense, right? Hey, you've been inspired by people in your life to be the healthier person you are. And now all of a sudden, here you are on this podcast running this race. And I'm almost guaranteed a listener will be like, hey, this girl Desiree drove here, did this, or maybe it's even a friend or family, right? And is inspired by you. So it kind of catches fire
mhm.
that way. So I'm really thankful. Yeah.
Well, I've already, yeah. And like actually the people, my one trainer who like owns the gym that I go here, he was even asking me about it and he said, maybe next year we'll kind of put a team together because it's a smaller gym.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like your, chains.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like yours. He said to me, he's like, what if we kind of put a team together to go next year? And
Yeah.
I said, that would be great. Like, just
Well, we'll give him a shout
they're
out. Which gym is it in Saskatoon?
uh it's Flex Fitness.
Flex
Yeah,
Fitness.
his name's Darren.
Okay, well there you go. If you're ever in Saskatoon, listeners, and you want to go check out Flex Fitness and meet Darren and tell him to send a crew to definitely go do that.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So now the race is done. Yeah, had some fun with it all. You got other goals in mind too, which is neat to see. So it'd be neat to hopefully get to see you then next year, and then kind of find out. We could touch base and find out how you were doing.
Absolutely.
Right
No,
on.
yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
No problem. Okay, so I got this new thing I'm trying to do with guests, by the way. So I'm gonna rapid fire some random questions at you to end it off.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I gotta find out. Okay, what is your? Oh, okay. We'll start easy. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Pizza. Are you
Yeah.
pineapples on or off pizza? What's your view there?
Oh boy, this could cost I on 100% on.
Hey,
I love it. Yeah.
I'm a pineapple on pizza too. There you go.
Perfect. There you go.
What's the farthest you've ever traveled? Where have you been? What's the
Um,
farthest away from Saskatchewan, we'll say?
Germany.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Went
Any
there with my mom about 20 years ago. I went there with my mom.
nice. I went to Germany.
Yeah.
It was out of all the places I was in Europe, it was actually the one that kind of reminded me the most of Canada, oddly enough.
Yeah, like like this is a really bad thing to say right now, but I can't really set out like where the countries in Europe all sit
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
I went to we were in Austria, we were in Switzerland, and we were in Germany, and we were in France.
yeah.
So wherever the
I
furthest
think you
on
might
the
have. I
map
think you might have hit it with Germany. So well
is
done.
it
Well
Germany?
done.
I think it is.
I think
Yeah.
so. If I and I'm not very good at. Okay, so here's a fun fact. I was a social studies teacher, and I didn't take any training really specifically for it, and like geology is not my thing. So yeah, I feel you there. I feel you. I remember. Okay, anyway, I don't want to get into too many stories about me as a teacher, but I remember one where I had like this map wall on the back of the in my classroom because I that's what I had to do, right? And kids would like be up there and asking questions of flags. I couldn't answer almost anything on it, so I was like, anyway, fake it till you make it, kind of thing. Okay, other question: genre of music. What's your go-to when you're running?
Um, anything, anything upbeat. I kind of like rock, anything to really get the
Okay,
heart pumping.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. What's the last movie you saw?
Oh, what is the last movie I saw? I think the Barbie movie.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Would you
Typical
recommend?
answer. Yeah.
Would you recommend?
I I loved it.
Okay,
I really, really did. I thought it was gonna be a silly movie, and a couple of friends convinced me to go, and I'm so glad I went. I absolutely loved it. It was a
perfect.
good movie.
Cool. And then let's go one more random question. Uh, we'll go with the cliche. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, you know, I've thought about this a few times.
We all do, I
I
think.
would, yeah, I would like to say, sometimes I would like to say being able to read minds, but sometimes I don't know if that'd
Yeah,
be a good thing. But I
yeah.
would like to know because I'd like to know,
It'd
if
be
there's
interesting.
people who say that they really have my back, if they really do,
Yeah.
like this kind of, but then I'm just afraid of what
Yeah, I'd
the
be like,
answers
what?
are going to
Yeah, like,
be.
do I really want that kind of? Like, it's like what women want or whatever. Have you ever watched with Mel Gibson or?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like that would be cool power, but also at the same time, I was like, do I really want that? That would kind of take away, like, I don't know, the point of living almost to be like,
exactly.
yes,
Just the mysterious and meeting new people. But I think the other one maybe might be flying because, if I could fly to Europe for a trip, like let's just,
yeah.
go
See,
do that so I don't have to worry about the plane.
see, you'd have to be like, you'd have to pair flying because I thought about this too. You'd have to pair flying with like super resilience because you get so many bugs and you have to be really fast at flying. So you'd have to be like really durable if you wanted to fly too.
Very true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point.
Yes. Well,
Well,
there we go. Thanks for answering my random questions. And thanks for coming on this phone call with me. I had fun. This was a nice little chat here. I didn't expect it
yeah.
to really like take off in this direction, but I'm glad it did. And like I said, I think we hopefully will get in touch again next year with the race. But until then, keep working on all those goals.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Cool. All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. And if you guys are ever in Saskatoon, like I said, feel free to maybe check out the gym. Or if you're listening and you're thinking about the Northerner race, then definitely swing by. We're going to be doing it annually here in Tisdale for the foreseeable future, the weekend after August long. So thanks again.